The pet care space is teeming with entrepreneurial energy. At SUPERZOO 2025 last August, there were more than 450 first-time exhibitors, compared to around 700 returning ones. This means that 30% of the industry, and not even the entire industry, just those exhibiting at SUPERZOO, are relatively new to this space. I mentioned this in our initial SUPERZOO episode, which we've linked in the show notes for today, but while there are a few big names in pet nutrition, there are also a ton of startups and entrepreneurs. And most of the innovation we see across the industry actually comes from these smaller, more agile brands. And what better way to get a pulse on innovation than by speaking with emerging brands about their innovations and ideas? Today, you'll hear from founders and innovators who are reshaping the way we think about pet food, ingredients, and wellness. From fresh food pioneers to sustainable ingredient developers. Get ready for stories and insights that shine a light on where this industry is headed. Let's get started.
Welcome to Barking Mad, a podcast by BSM Partners. We're your hosts, Dr. Stephanie Clark.
And I'm Jordan Tyler. Kicking off today with a couple first-time SUPERZOO attendees who attended the show to browse what's hot, what's not, connect with potential partners, and spread the word about their brand. Michael O'Rourke and Mason Fox, co-founders of Wynwood Dog Food, came to the show to do just that. This Miami-based company started out in farmers markets and has since grown into a direct-to-consumer provider of fresh, vet-formulated diets for dogs. Their model blends hands-on entrepreneurship, veterinary partnerships, and a commitment to therapeutic diets, making them one of the early movers in the fresh pet food movement.
The real story, I was living down in California, and I saw, this fresh dog food movement taking place. But there's really nothing going on the East Coast. And my family was down in Miami and wanted, be a little bit closer to them and thought that this would be a great opportunity. So moved down to Miami, kind of started putting this together. There was actually a company in Orlando that I reached out to that was doing this on a very, very small scale. Said, hey, can we do this in Miami? They said no. So then we just started putting it together piece by piece. And kind of one of the first pieces was asking Mason if he'd, want to join up and help me do this thing. And, he was stupid enough to say yes. And yeah, here we are.
Yeah. And so I moved from Orlando to Miami. And before long, I was regretting my decision, sweating, lugging frozen dog food, a small freezer, the table, the tent, to sometimes up to 4 to 5 farmers markets every single weekend. We were working 7 days a week, cooking all week, then selling it on the weekends. We were cooking out of your mom's kitchen, making like 50 pounds of food at a time.
We call it this army of dehydrators. So we had these little, $30, $40 dehydrators on Amazon, but we had like a dozen of them or so. So we'd set them all up, run them overnight. And then we got a board-certified veterinary nutritionist as part of the company. And so he developed all the diets. We started with, I want to say like 3 or 4 balanced diets and then an allergy diet to begin with. And so we did the farmers markets for about a year while we were working on building out a kitchen/retail location in Wynwood. And so we opened up in October 16, that location. It was, it was slow at first. People thought we were a dog restaurant. People thought we were insane because people didn't know what fresh food was. It seems like crazy now.
Yeah.
But, in 2016, it was like an unknown thing. But yeah, we just kind of kept at it. We've always focused on veterinarians. So we really have used them as a driver of our growth. And we managed to, get to where we are now, which I think is a respectable revenue number with zero marketing. So we've never done advertising. We've never done really any significant thing with social media. And we've really relied on our product to do the heavy lifting for us.
You came in at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so we were a little bit early. And that's also why we were able to kind of lock in the nutritionist that we did. We were just a little bit quicker than everybody to start going at it.
Yeah.
And in the freshness, right, to play on words, of the category. But that was part of that challenge where people thought we were a dog restaurant, because if they associated this, fresh food for your pet as a treat, as something you do every once in a while, and it showed too. And there was the local paper, the Miami Herald, came by to do a story. We were really excited. They interviewed us and they took some pictures in the kitchen and they printed the story. And the headline was, I think it said, "Pamper your pooch in this canine kitchen." And we're like, oh, wait, what?
Missed the mark.
Yeah, we didn't know we had to, head that off. And yeah, they completely missed it. Yeah, and we're like, there was so much explaining to do in those early years.
Well, and even our name, our original name was actually Dishes for Dogs. And, we quickly realized, though, that, dish invokes, you go to a restaurant, you have a dish, right? It's not, you don't have a dish every day, right? It's, something a little more special than a regular meal. And we realized, I think people, they look at fresh food as this, very premium thing, but it's just a whole food ingredient. It's how mammals were kind of meant to eat. It's nothing special. It's nothing gourmet. It's, it's just real food.
Yeah, absolutely. So what does the future hold for Wynwood dog food? You guys have obviously come a long way already, but you've got prescription diets, you've got non-prescription. What's next?
The one that we always get is cat, but
yes.
that, we used to have a cat diet. It was super cool. It was like a true carnivore cat diet. Just protein, fat.
Yeah.
It was awesome. But, the cats are a whole different animal. So we feel like we definitely want to do cat, but if we do it, we want to do it right. We are excited to come out with a weight loss support diet that is, truly functional, elevated nutrients, so you come pretty hard with the calorie restriction.
Yeah.
And then a true pancreatic support diet are the top two.
We're focused and we've invested pretty heavily on the therapeutic line and our veterinary partnerships, mostly because we feel that we've got some differentiation there and we have some, proven excellency, let's say, in that area. I mean, because we own manufacturing, I can make as little or as much food as we want for any SKU that we want. So we have 12 SKUs, 7 of which, so actually like more than half of our number of SKUs are therapeutic diets. And we can do that because we own manufacturing. We can have these things that are much more specialty and more niche. And that's helped us, get the attention of these veterinarians because we do feel like it solves a problem for them when they have clients who want to feed the fresh format, the fresh category, but their dog is diagnosed with, kidney disease, for example.
So we keep calling them therapeutic. Prescription. Do you need a prescription to purchase those diets from your vet, or how does that whole thing work?
Yeah, well, so the prescription, I like to usually put quotes on it.
Absolutely.
It's not actually a prescription. It's not regulated by the FDA. It is not a drug.
Yeah.
So we call it a veterinary recommendation. We really don't want people self-diagnosing liver disease, kidney disease. We like to make sure that these diets are actually recommended by a vet and, that people are following their veterinarian's directions.
From Miami to Los Angeles, our next story highlights the passion of Amber Stanford, founder of Ambeezy's Organics. This jerky-style dog treat company was born out of a personal mission to help her own dog overcome severe allergies. What began in her own kitchen has grown into a brand focused on simple, organic, functional treats. And her passion for pets shines brightly through the brand.
So my name is Amber, as I mentioned, but so all of my friends and family, since I was a little kid, they called me Ambeezy, and I really wanted this to be like a personal extension from myself. So I have 3 dogs, and I just got 5 baby chicks, and my Pekingese King, his name is King, he's like my why as to why I started this business, because he suffered from severe allergies, and so I have over 17 years of healthcare experience. So as a nurse, I'm very adamant about educating my patients, telling them the importance of how diet really does impact, your health. Some veterinarians and also physicians are medication driven, whereas I've always been more let's take a holistic approach about this. And so after, even in the veterinary space where there were, was a lot of, try this topical medication or this oral medication, and it wasn't getting to the root of his problem, that's when I was like, you know what, let me just take matters into my own hands. I remember this day exactly. I went to Whole Foods. I got all fresh ingredients. So I started making his food from scratch, doing a lot of research, and then making his treats. And then his health immediately improved. And that's when I was like, okay, it truly is his diet. The same way it is for humans, it also applies to our furry, family members. And then, of course, organically, my friends and family started wanting some for their dogs. And then one of my friends was like, Amber, I've seen such a huge difference in my dog. I will pay you for this. It was kind of a subscription without me even realizing because I wasn't in the business space. And then that's when I was like, I had an aha moment. Like, there really is a need. I can, help other animals. And that was the first time that I thought maybe I could turn this into a business. And then here I am at SUPERZOO.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
So are you still making them in your home, or have you branched out into having
Yeah,
someone
no,
else?
Yeah. So I am in a commercial kitchen.
Yeah.
It's actually a human-grade commercial kitchen
Awesome.
in downtown Los Angeles. And I'm trying to, as much as I can, keep things in-house.
Mm-hmm. Are you still nursing? Like, you're still working as a nurse? And
Yeah, that's
goodness,
helping
yeah.
to fund this business.
Oh my gosh, but like, are you just working like 24
Yeah.
hours a day?
Much, yeah.
Girl.
You're like, this is actually a vacation.
Yeah.
I could.
Oh no.
Yeah, but hopefully not for long. My goal is to transition out.
So tell us more about your like product line. Like, what SKUs do you have so far? I know you're like getting started, but like, do you already have expansion plans in terms of your ingredients and products?
Talk about format, yeah.
Yeah, so retail ready right now, I have 2 SKUs, and that's the thing with me. I'm more about like quality over quantity.
Absolutely.
So I have my organic like beef and rosemary, so it's just like those 2 ingredients, and then I have chicken and rosemary, and then I also have like a vegan line, which is like organic sweet potato and peanut butter. And then I will be expanding also to like more like functional ingredients such as like ashwagandha and sea moss and valerian root and things like that. And so, yeah, so that's kind of like my goal. And then I also have a ventricle line of like a feline market, as well as like backyard chicken, like live feed as well.
Yes. And they are like jerky style?
Yeah, jerky. And I will be having freeze dried soon.
Awesome.
I'm like working on like getting a machine again, just to be able to have control and do everything in house. I have to give credit to like my grandparents. Actually, since I can remember as like an infant, my grandmother put Old Yeller on. So I grew up on that movie, and that's like the first time I fell in love with dogs. But then also my grandparents, especially my grandfather, I feel like he was advanced in the way when it came to food. So he wouldn't allow me to eat anything that had artificial colors or flavors. But he was so advanced, like especially, because some of the family that I have, like they are from the South. And so everything's just like fried and like not good for you,
My husband's from the South, so I feel that, yeah.
Yeah, and so like I didn't appreciate it then, but he also taught me like even at a young age to like check for the labels.
Yeah.
And so it's always just been like ingrained in me, and so it's something that like now I really appreciate, because even for him, he was able to live until like 94 years old. He passed away 2 years ago. So I mean, but I feel like he lived such a great life, and he was healthy. He didn't suffer, and it was due to how he fed himself. And I just want to bring that to like the community, that diet is truly important. Like we can't stress it enough, so.
In the pet world, it's not uncommon that personal experiences inspire new businesses. But innovation is also happening at the ingredient level. Cico Rodriguez, who has graced the Barking Mad podcast before with inspiring tales of regenerative agriculture, is moving into his next venture, Amplified Ingredients, an ingredient supplier working with regenerative outputs that have the power to transform not only the nutrient profiles of pet foods, but also the way we think about agriculture.
Yeah, so Francisco Rodriguez, everybody calls me Cico, and I'm the president of Amplified Ingredients. We're an ingredient developer and distributor, and we like to say we develop or distribute ingredients that transform, because at the end of the day, you want ingredients that are driving a benefit to nutrition, both humans and animals.
I'm going to cut in real fast. My curiosity is killing me. Amplified Ingredients. What kind of ingredients are you focusing on, like specifically, if you can?
Well, the idea of amplifying an ingredient is probably a fun story to talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So there are different ways to amplify an ingredient that people have been doing for decades, even hundreds of years, right? And the first step to amplifying an ingredient is really, how do you grow it if it's an ingredient that comes from nature, or how do you raise it if it's something that comes from an animal? And so the growing conditions, we've seen data that shows that growing, for example, turmeric in organic soil versus regenerative organic soil has a vastly different phytochemical profile. So we look at amplifying ingredients from the farm to the fermentation tank to the extraction facility, and obviously all the way to the delivery of the end product. So we're looking to amplify ingredients in a number of ways. So we have our first amplification, going back to the kind of the agricultural side, starts with regenerative organic organs. So liver, heart, and kidney from regenerative organic cattle. And we work with a large producer, a large agricultural partner that basically was looking for an outlet for these organs. So we partnered with them. They actually sought us out. So we identified that there's about a 2x increase in some of the micronutrients inside of regenerative organs versus the conventional counterparts. So we went ahead, moved forward. We helped launch a few finished product brands with regenerative organs. We're including them in as many formulas as people want to include them, and they're being commercialized on a regular basis. So that's one category.
Very cool. I think it's like something that more and more people are becoming aware of as, organic and regenerative agriculture really start to become more mainstream. Obviously still a long way to go there, but we have come a long way already, is that, the way that we've been doing agriculture for the last, whatever, many hundreds of years, has just been slowly degrading like the actual nutrient content that we get from the food that we grow in the ground, on trees and bushes, whatever. That a lot of the food that we eat now is fortified, that's where the whole GMO thing comes from. Just like, a lot of things that we eat are supplemented because there's not enough nutrients in just the base thing, in that carrot, in that apple, in that insert, vegetable or food item here. And so when you talk about regenerative organic offering 2x plus nutrient density, that's insane. Like, that's crazy. And I think everybody should think that's crazy. But like,
And still claiming non-GMO, right? Like,
yeah,
you're amplifying them, but you're not genetically modifying them.
In that scenario, nature's doing the amplification. It's really allowing nature to amplify in those ingredients is a major piece. And, to your comment on fortification, that's not a like for like difference, right? If you have an organ that contains a nutrient versus a nutrient that's added in, it's very rarely like for like. If you're eating a rock mineral, a mineral that's a mineral salt versus one that has been integrated into the protein of the organ, it's very different.
Totally.
For the animal or human that's consuming it. After organs, which have minerals that are normally part of the animal's makeup, the organ makeup, we have a group of minerals that instead of doing single amino acid chelates, which are extremely valuable, we went with multi-amino acid chelates. So we take organic spirulina and we hydrolyze it, and then we introduce the mineral so it reacts and catches not just one amino acid, but multiple amino acids from organic spirulina. And that transforms how effectively it absorbs in the gut.
Okay, wait, let's break that down. Minerals, like Cico is talking about here, can be difficult for the body to absorb. So sometimes we partner them up with a buddy, particularly amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, to help them get absorbed in the pet's body. This buddy system is called chelation. A single amino acid chelated mineral is like the amino acid and the mineral are dating. They're exclusive. They're not interested in other potential partners. And this is pretty much a gold standard, but it's also expensive and not as commonly used across the pet food industry. On the other hand, you have multi-amino acid chelates. These are like a friend group. Maybe one friend is a good listener. Maybe one is your accountability partner at the gym. Maybe another is your old roommate from college. They're all your friends, but each friendship is a little bit different. What Cico's talking about here is taking spirulina, which is sort of like green algae, breaking it down into tiny parts or amino acids through a process called hydrolyzation, and then they add minerals. The spirulina gets hydrolyzed, broken down into amino acids that become this mineral's friends. So because that spirulina has been broken down into many, many amino acids, those amino acids stick to the mineral in different ways, making them more readily able to be absorbed in a pet's body. So in high-quality pet foods, you might see these friend groups listed on the label as things like zinc proteinate or copper proteinate. These are multi-amino acid chelated minerals hanging out with their amino acid friends. And using hydrolyzed spirulina can also offer a clean label on top of making sure the body can actually use those minerals.
And so it's a very exciting area. It's called our vitamins line, so green minerals.
And this is all natural.
all natural, and enzymatically digested. So we're not doing any sort of unique GMO process or anything like that. At the end of the day, that's our amplification process.
Yeah.
That drives a transformation in nutrition.
Speaking of ingredient breakthroughs, our next guest, John Cullen with Pet Being, is tackling one of the biggest challenges with functional ingredients: cost. You've probably seen green-lipped mussel listed on various joint supplements, but it's expensive and often underdosed. John's team is introducing Blussels, a branded alternative that delivers the same glucosamine and omega-3 benefits, but at half the price. That opens the door to seeing this powerhouse ingredient not just in supplements, but in everyday diets too.
It's really like a direct competitor of green-lipped mussel, and has really a lot of the same properties in terms of glucosamine, omega-3. It's all harvested in southern Chile, and it's all eco-sourced, and they grow it, they process it, they have proprietary freeze drying, and can turn that into powder. And it's about half the cost of green lip. So that's been a huge part of our business right now. And we actually use it in our own supplements, but we're also now, because of the price point of green lip mussel and how expensive it is, it's been really difficult to add it to a food, whether a wet food or a kibble. So with the blue mussel, we can manufacture it at such a cost that now it's opened the doorway to people using it in wet foods and even potentially in a dry food. That's really, really exciting, actually. It's a really exciting new area of business that we're in. You know, green lip, we're not saying green lip is not a great product. It is, but it's just...
It's expensive.
It's expensive. And it's, and now there's some heavy metal issues in New Zealand. And so, we're addressing some of those as well.
And nutritionally, relatively one-to-one, right, for green lip? Like,
pretty much.
You're not missing anything by the price point being lower. That's innovative. We like that ingredient. We like to see it on the ingredient deck. We like the benefits that it comes. But in today's economy, and I mean, right, it's not feasible. We're trying to make things at least affordable so we can keep feeding our pets. But so, I mean, I think that's really innovative.
Well, and then again, opening new doors and new delivery methods, right?
Right.
If you can put it in foods. A lot of what we're trying to do is really just create convenience for consumers.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of confusion. I mean, they don't understand the labels. They don't understand what they should be giving their pets. If this is a great way to add a great high-quality protein plus glucosamine plus, the omega-3s with a viable ingredient that's, again, affordable. So it's not to really get to the active ingredient levels. It's only adding really pennies on the dollar to a wet food or a dry food, or there's so much innovation in kind of delivery of what types of foods and this, that, the other, that now all of a sudden it's opened that really a mass doorway for blue shell mussel, where green lip just couldn't do it because it would add so much cost to a canned food or wet food or a dry food that it just wasn't viable from a consumer demand standpoint. If you saw the factory in Chile, it's just incredible. I mean, it's state of the art, all eco-sourced. I mean, it's all about sustainability.
Yeah.
It's just been an incredible journey. And it was interesting because the company in Chile tried to do things with this before, but they just couldn't figure out the market. Mm-hmm. So, the owners of Pet Being, all of a sudden they were like, wait, we could do something with this.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like it just exploded.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been the growth has been explosive.
So let's shift to something entirely different: keeping pets hydrated. You'll recognize Rick Ruffalo of Phelps Pet Products from our initial SuperZoo 2025 episode. But we wanted to circle back on something they unveiled at the show that truly caught our attention. So, Steph, I'm super curious to get your take on what I'm about to ask Rick here. He was telling me about a new product that you guys have or are coming out with.
Yep.
And it is something, you told me about it, and I was like, that actually might be like a novel product.
Yeah.
Which is like, Steph and I we talk a lot about, imitation versus innovation. Is it just marketing, or is it actually like, the next big new thing? Mm-hmm. So tell us about what Phelps has been working on and why you're so excited about it.
So, Stephanie, I'm going to blow you away with this idea.
No,
so I'm just
ready.
going to tell you right now.
Really built it up. Sorry about that.
No, it's we're very excited. It's called H2Go. Are you familiar with Go-Gurts, right? You get a 4-year-old. You know what a Go-Gurt is, right? So think of that same tube concept, or maybe even the lickable cat treats, right?
Yeah.
So it's a gel format in a tube that is 3 times more effective than water at hydrating, and it's intended for dogs.
Yeah.
And it's a much smaller tube. It's not like the big long ones.
I know. In my head, I was thinking like a very big. I was like, they're going to be very hydrated.
Yeah,
Awesome.
no, not that long, but it's a gel format. You can feed them directly out of the tube, or you can let them have it on the ground, however that you want. And it's great for walks, great for just every day. The big aha, if you will, is it's built on the idea of humanization, right? Humans are chronically dehydrated, underhydrated.
Yeah, I feel
and
currently.
all of you see me with a Diet Dr. Pepper, and all you guys have got your big water bottles. But it is definitely something that humans are aware of, right?
Yeah.
Definitely more so than 10 years ago. Like everything else in the human world, it's going to find its way into the pet world eventually. And I think people recognize actually dogs and cats are actually chronically dehydrated as well. And so this is an easy way for them to do it. To get hydrated without necessarily either carrying water bottles and bowls around with you everywhere, or even if you have those, sometimes the dogs are just not acknowledging their dehydration, right? So they're going to ignore the water bowl for a while. This is going to be, it's flavored, convenient, and it packs a punch. It's 3 times more effective in terms of the way the water is absorbed through your cells.
Okay.
And don't ask me a lot of science stuff because I'm not a scientist. No. But the operative word is colloids.
Yep.
Hydrocolloids, right?
Absolutely.
So anyway, that it allows for the absorption of those water molecules much more efficiently than just drinking water.
A little science lesson. Hydrocolloids work by binding with water molecules, which allows them to be absorbed in a person's or pet's bloodstream more efficiently. That makes them actually more effective than simply drinking large amounts of water or loading up on electrolytes. It's a smart way to address a real health need, especially for pets prone to heat stress, dehydration, or urinary issues.
So what do you think?
No, I think it's cool. Honestly, that you said hydrocolloids. My brain was like, we need this in the vet practice, especially. So again, from St. Louis, and it's been a hot minute, but I used to work in a vet clinic, and the amount of like heat exhaustion dogs are, heat stroke, and you're trying to pump in so much fluids, but like you can only do it so fast. I'm like, we need this in the Midwest.
For real.
That's it's really interesting, just the feedback so far, because this was sort of our big reveal moment just a few hours ago. And the feedback has been, wow, I could use this every day, but wow, for chronic or acute issues like heat stress or heat exhaustion or whatever it might be, that would be actually a really appropriate, use of it.
Yeah, I mean, I used to take my dogs hiking. I lived in Nashville, Tennessee, on the outskirts, kind of Brentwood, and I would take them hiking. And I had like a water bottle in the car and like a little poppable bowl, but like by the time you get back to the water, it's warm.
Yeah.
They're looking at me like, it's bad
Seriously?
temperature water. Like, we're not doing this. So I'm like, okay, well, you're going to have to wait till, 30-minute drive home. So I think that's really neat. Can you use it for cats and dogs, or is cats coming?
Well, because of the feedback we're already getting, we had focused it on dogs to begin with, and it's a beef flavor, but you can put many different flavors if you wanted.
Yeah.
And I think we may have to adjust the tube a little bit, maybe more specific for cats. But the concept should clearly work for you.
Right.
Yeah. So we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think for cats, hydration is huge, right? At least in the clinic, we see a lot of like stones, a lot of bladder stones because cats aren't getting enough or hydration. And so this is, I think, would be really, again, tying it back to that vet med, but this is a solution for a lot of problems that pet owners and veterinarians are dealing with. So I think it's very cool. I'm really interested to see, as a nutritionist, the ingredient deck and like all the science behind it. But I think it's very novel.
Hydration isn't the only area ripe for innovation. Scouts Honor has been known for cleaning and grooming products, but they continue to push the boundaries with new functional formulations. Founder Pete Sterling shared how the company has gone from green chemistry cleaning solutions to probiotic shampoos that support and preserve the skin microbiome, and now into wellness wipes infused with hyaluronic acid. This is a great example of a company applying both science and sustainability to pet care.
So I'm a big nerd. I love it. And I love being able to dive into stuff and just keep learning about it, and figure it. And especially when it starts leading down that path of something that is unexpected. So when we're looking at building this brand, we need to build this brand around that concept, not necessarily that particular technology. Instead of building a brand that was based on technology, and we started finding technologies we could put underneath the brand and just continue that story and progress as we started recognizing these new problems, developing new solutions. A few years later, we ended up really kind of stumbling across the concept of a topical probiotic to deal with the pet's topical microbiome, which is incredibly important. And especially if you think about grooming a pet, like look at it from a groomer's perspective, because we're in a grooming show, right? The person's bringing their dog, and the dog has all kinds of skin issues or things like that. And maybe they know, hey, a lot of it has to do with the diet or the environment they live in. But there's not a whole lot they can do to change that. But if they can use a product that actually helps to provide a solution that can make the dog more comfortable, help support the natural microbiome and make sure that the dog is feeling better over the long term, hey, why not, right? It's a great solution. That's now, I wouldn't say it's a new technology for us, but we just got it certified by My Microbiome, which is a group out of Germany, and they go and make sure that product does not disrupt the microbiome on the surface of the pet's skin, which is fantastic when you talk about shampoo, because by definition, it's supposed to clean everything off of the surface of the skin. Yeah. So, we've all grown up washing our dogs, and they're like, hey, don't wash it more than every 2 to 4 weeks. That's because it's disrupting the microbiome. You can potentially end up with the issues of like overgrowth, pathogenic yeasts. You can end up with all kinds of dermatitis, and then you get dogs start smelling bad. So now you're in a situation where you can wash your dog pretty much as frequently as you want, because you have a product that does that without disrupting that microbiome. And we developed a whole line of products that support that microbiome. We took that and segued it into wellness. Most recently, we're in the process in December. We're going to be hitting shelves with a new line of products. We wanted to do something for wipes because it's just the most boring category ever. I mean, it's a wipe. COVID probably made us all wipe resistant at this point, right?
No more wipes.
But we started looking at what's going on the human side of the market. What is biocompatible with pets? What could be useful? And landed on hyaluronic acid. So you take a hyaluronic acid and you infuse a wipe with hyaluronic acid. Now you have a wipe that is basically taking a biocompatible molecule, something that's found throughout the pet's body and is used by the body to help retain moisture. And you're putting that into a wipe so it can be applied topically, or it can be applied to the eye and to rinse the eye out. It's something that already exists in the pet. It's completely biocompatible. Very cool. Helps the wipe stay more moist, and it looks cool. It's something cool to talk about. It's as far as I'm aware, that's kind of the only cutting edge technology that's been implemented in wipes in the space, which is something that we just constantly are striving to do. And then we got some stuff up our sleeves for the future too. So we're not gonna stop anytime soon.
And finally, we'll round out today's conversation with WagWell, a brand that's bringing luxury beauty world experience into the pet wellness space. Founder Bill Smolin and his team have taken their backgrounds at companies like Chanel and L'Oreal and applied that rigor to pet supplements, paw care, and soon, freeze-dried food. And even though this brand is young, their focus on ingredients, like the use of ahi flower oil as a sustainable source of omega fatty acids, is already gaining credibility among the veterinary community.
If you look at even ingredient stories and the way that millennials shop over the past 20 years, we're looking at the ingredients list. We're not really trusting of what we've been told in the past, and we want more of that transparency. When we were researching building WagWell, we felt there was a lot of opacity in the pet space and wanted to bring that structure to the space. So with WagWell, we were thinking, okay, how do we actually become this change? What does that mean? To us, it's the ingredient stories. We started with ahi flower oil as a plant-based omega source for our supplements. Supplements are a scary place to start, right? So here we are entering with this. I knew we needed a point of difference and to build that out. But I also love that we're a platform brand and we're innovating across product category to build that trusted bit. It's about the ingredient story being differentiated, the manufacturing processes, not skimping on that, ensuring it's all made in the U.S., high-quality ingredients that are placed in, and then the testing to support the claims. We have a great space in Brazil that we've used before. We're really trying to build out something that's different and better, and we've gotten there. One building food we've been working on for probably a year and a half, and we'd wanted to do that from the start, but that's the toughest thing for someone to change. But you're also not kind of real until you do it, right? But it was important we build our community through that awareness of supplements and ingestibles and ahi flower and understanding different ingredients, and then building into our freeze-dried process, which we have this differentiated source that allows the steam kill process, so there's no fear of E. coli or salmonella. Yeah. So we tested that in treats, and really built a community that was interested in ingredients and aware of what was happening. So we felt now food is the right time to launch that.
I want to circle back to ahi flour.
Yeah.
You guys are well known for ahi flour. You guys have been called out in the veterinary community, which is like a hard community to penetrate, let alone get, a nod to. So you want to talk about ahi flour. You guys were very adamant about making sure that it was in your food.
Thank you.
And this is relatively novel in pet. Like there's tons of studies on humans and mice, but not pets.
Thank you for bringing that up. It's what inspired the brand in the first place. We saw this ingredient and we thought we were crazy. We're like, wait, we've found a gold mine here. Why isn't anyone doing this? But I really call our ahi flower oil liquid gold. We have this wonderful blend that really is a omega-3, 6, and 9 source that is just as good as what you get from salmon or fish oil. But it's also so clean. It doesn't have the bad breath. Doesn't expire as quickly, and our 1 8-ounce bottle of this is equivalent to 600 fish saved from the sea.
Yeah.
While it's nice to say on a podcast about sustainability, I could go off for hours about overfishing and the problems that causes.
Yeah.
But even like the cost of fish oil has increased 4x in 2 years. It's not tenable for all of our competition. So for a number of reasons, we were so excited it was a clean, effective source. We felt that was a rational way to go build into supplements. And, we don't own it. Others can have it. I feel like I have kombucha 15 years ago. It's like we're kind of first on a big scale to speak of it, but I feel like a rising tide lifts all boats. I want others to incorporate this where appropriate. We're not like the only ones who can have it. I think it's a relevant, smart thing to bring in. So we ended up partnering with the ahi flower people who own it, and they've just been wonderful partners. But it's the perfect way to speak about that innovative ingredient that can land where you're comfortable, that you learn about. We're doing this in food. We're doing this in human beauty, from like innovation on skincare and all of it. So it's just another ingredient that we felt was a relevant place to put a stake in the ground. And again, we're small, but I think the more people research it, like scrutiny makes truth stronger, right? If we're not hiding anything, it's limitless. We want others to adopt it. So it's not a hill we'll, we don't have it in every product. It only makes sense where appropriate. It's not inexpensive, but we kind of have that as our luxury product in serum. It's more than fish oil. It's also a much better product to put in. Even my partner, who's a scientist, he's like, what is this? It's a secret thing. And then we have it on our pug, and a week later, he's like, this is the softest fur she's ever had.
Yeah.
Like, that's just what we can feel. Like, we all know the value of omega and what that does for your body.
Yep.
But I feel good about where that comes from.
From all these brands, a common message comes through. Innovation in the pet industry doesn't come from one singular place. It happens on multiple levels, through formats, through ingredients, and most importantly, through science. This is what makes SUPERZOO such an exciting stage, because it's where, year after year, emerging brands bring new energy and fresh ideas to the market. And this is just one of several episodes we're sharing from the SUPERZOO 2025 show floor. If you missed our previous episodes, we've linked them all in the show notes for you today, so be sure to check them out. And keep your eyes open for more candid conversations from SUPERZOO coming your way soon.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Barking Mad. If you want to learn more about BSM Partners, please visit us at bsmpartners.net. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite leading podcast platform or share it with a friend to stay current on the latest pet industry trends and conversations.
We'd also like to thank our dedicated team, Adamiette Thomas, Neely Bowden, Kate Wright, Katie Wolf, and Dr. Katie Miller. A special shout out to Leanne Haggerty and Michael Johnson in support of this episode, and to David Perez for our original music in the intro and outro. See you next time.